everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Tax Tips channel. My name is Cherry Chen, a chartered professional accountant located in Oakville, Ontario, Canada, just outside of Toronto. My mission is to become the Google map for hardworking Canadians seeking financial freedom. And I work with a lot of real estate investors and real estate agents as well as property managers. And last night, my husband, Erwin, just told me that one of his team members, Tim Hong here, was chirping me on my choice of tenants. I manage quite a bit of properties, our own portfolio, and all the tenant screenings are probably done by me. And he's questioning my ability to screen tenants. The story started with him posting this question that he got. Tim is an iWIN real estate coach on our iWIN real estate team, and he helps some of your clients to fill the properties. And the properties that you're filling, it's yours, right?
Some of them are mine, some of them are my tenants. Just to give you a little bit of a brief background of myself, I've been investing since 2005 and I've been coaching investors for about 10 years now. And I run a small property management company, so I've dealt a lot with tenant stuff.
Yeah, so he got all kind of experience running property management company, all kind of experience screening tenants. And so when he posted the post, please follow him because he always posts all these funny stories, funny experience with tenants on his Instagram. So there was this tenant who was asking a million questions, like how many kitchens are in the unit? But I mean, like one family really only need one kitchen. I was wondering why he was asking that question and how many bathrooms. It's clearly listed on the listing. Obviously, this tenant didn't really read, and I am the one that doesn't read either. I'm the one that don't read either. So when he said that, would you rent to this tenant? I guess his question is meant to be for people to vote no. I voted yes because that person is exactly me. And Tim just doesn't agree.
Yeah, majority of the people, like 90% voted no. So you are in the minority of using that as a potential tenant.
Yes. Well, whatever. I am here interviewing him so he can share with you the best screening tenant tip. But before I get started, make sure that you give us a thumbs up if you like our video. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below and share this. I would anticipate to be a funny video and very useful video for all of us here. Thanks, team, for joining me today.
No problem.
So you have so much experience helping investors and also doing property management as well. So tell me a little bit about the funniest story that you've ever encountered in terms of tenants.
So there's going to be two main ones that come up. The first one is I was helping an investor. They ended up purchasing a property and there was already a tenant in there, so we assumed the tenant. And after a couple months, there was a non-payment for rent. So we went through the normal eviction process, filing the N4, waiting the certain amount of days. Going through the courts, we actually got the court order and we were ready to go. The sheriff was planning to come and it was probably about, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks out before the sheriff was coming. And I get a text message from the tenant itself. And I'll read you this text message right now. So basically I wrote, and you'll see it in the bubble here, it says, "Hello, I haven't heard back, but just letting you know you have until July 29th to pay $38.25 and void the court order. Otherwise, you'll be evicted by the sheriff and collections will be filed for the amount owing." So just letting them know what's coming up. This is the plan of what's going on.
Yeah.
They messaged back shortly after. They said, "I have community resource to visit on Mondays to see about an emergency funding situation. In the meantime, are there any non-monetary ways that I may be able to pay the debt down?" So
what does a tenant mean?
What's
non-monetary?
Well, at first I didn't know if it was like a trade or something like that. But the funny thing is, so when the sheriff actually came, so obviously we didn't agree to anything. We got the sheriff there. We went in to inspect the house. There was a stripper pole in the bedroom, which was not there prior to us buying the property itself. So when the investor purchased it, we did our walkthrough. That pole was not there. So when that pole was there, everything kind of made sense that, oh, that's the non-monetary ways. And no, we didn't take that. I didn't take that offer, obviously.
Oh, you didn't?
No. So.
I'm glad you didn't. You posted about it.
Yeah, I did post about it. But they got evicted with the sheriff for non-payment. So everything ended up working well with the investor. But that's just a little bit of a funny story. Very interesting. I've seen my share of stripper poles in properties, surprisingly more than the average investor.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for some reason.
I
Yeah.
know. You just attract that kind of tenants.
I think so, it looks like.
So there was also this story. I know, like I'm putting my kids in jujitsu for protection to learn self-defense, and I know you've gone through all that when you were a kid.
Yep.
And it actually come into play when things go sour with tenant situation.
Yeah, so you have to learn how to protect yourself and understand the situation. So this one was a funny one because we actually had it on video. So I was with an investor. We were looking at duplexes, so 2 units, top unit rented, bottom unit rented separately, and we were going for a showing. And what happened was, when we went down into the basement, standard procedure, knock on the door, hello, anybody home, and stuff like that. There was no answer. So I went downstairs first, because basically how you open the door, go down to the basement, there's stairs right down there. Walk downstairs first, and a guy comes out. He's naked. He's covering his junk, and he just says, "Hey, what are you doing in here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Then I'll wait for you. I'll walk back up the stairs." So I got out, walked up the stairs, told my investor, "There's a naked guy downstairs right now. Let's wait until he actually leaves before we can actually see the property." So we haven't, obviously this is just the showing. We haven't actually purchased the property yet. He comes out after, up at the top of the stairs, and he actually grabs my collar of my jacket and my shirt, and he starts, "Hey, you can't come here for the showing. I wasn't told," and whatnot. Starts yelling at me, profanities and stuff like that. Told him, "Well, we have a showing booked. Did your landlord or your agent did not tell you about it?" He's like, "No, you can't come here," and stuff like that. So he was, for me, because I was at the top of the stairs and his back was facing downwards, I was very confident that I could just easily push him and he would just go down the stairs, based on just old knowledge of martial arts and stuff like that. I actually had my key in my pocket with my hands around it. So if I did need to, say, throw a punch, he would have had a key in the eye or something like that.
Oh no.
So luckily none of that happened. But the funny thing is, it's all on video, and you'll probably see a snippet while we're talking about this.
In a house like that. Don't you walk in my house.
We knocked. I locked.
You don't have the right.
I'll lock it and we'll leave. We'll go. So that was probably one of the funniest things. My investor was scared because she wanted to video it. So we didn't get the whole video, but a portion of it. But she was one of the first houses we saw, and she's like, "Oh, this is interesting. Does this happen all the time?" They actually ended up purchasing it.
Really?
The tenant was gone by then. By the time we closed, they put new tenants in, and all has been well so far. So it's been a good investment for them. It's just interesting stories when we come to some of these properties that we're dealing with.
So you can handle properties with tenants, naked tenants. You can handle properties with
Stripper poles.
stripper poles, and also say no to special service.
Yes.
And you can protect the investor at showing if that's ever needed. That's awesome. That's like a perfect combination for investor focused real estate agent.
I like to keep my investors safe.
Hey there, sorry to interrupt the video. I know you're learning something valuable, and I love sharing strategies to build wealth and achieve financial freedom with you. But if you want to learn even more wealth building strategies from top experts like Derek Foster, Jesse Itzler, and if you want to achieve financial freedom faster so you can finally live your best life, then I highly recommend that you save your seat at the upcoming Wealth Hacker Conference that's happening on November 12th, Saturday, 2022, live in Toronto. Whether you are a real estate or stocks geek like me, or you are a crypto head, or even a business owner or aspiring entrepreneur, grab your tickets now, because we'll be sharing all the best practices for building wealth across these asset class at the Wealth Hacker Conference. Come November 12th, live and in person in Toronto. So I think the last story that I want to share is that I have this friend, one of my best friends actually. I think she started using a different real estate agent despite the team that we have built ourselves. And she started investing in Kitchener very early days. And I was telling her that, well, maybe you shouldn't invest in, I wasn't really telling her, I was just telling her that I don't have any connection in Kitchener area that we would be able to share with you. So it may be a little bit more challenging. And she started randomly looking for other investing real estate agents instead of using our team. And tell us a little bit about that story. Why did she do that, and what happened at the end?
So I'm born and raised in Kitchener, so that was one of her mistakes, not knowing that as well, probably.
You have to tell people.
Yeah.
You went to Waterloo.
Went to high school there, went to University of Waterloo as
Yes.
well, and I think we actually had some mutual friends during the university days there. So they ended up looking at a house, and I think this is the one you're talking about, where they saw a house and they wanted to put an offer on it, but neither of us saw it. And what happened was I told her that it's not the greatest idea to put blind offers on houses that none of us seen. So usually when we're helping investors, either the investor has seen it or I've seen it personally before we actually make a decision to put an offer on it. In this case,
she's super aggressive. She's
super
go
aggressive.
mode.
The market was moving very quickly, so we wanted to get on a good deal.
Yeah.
After reviewing the property online and knowing the area, because I went to high school just down the street, the type of property was our standard bungalow. So there was no real issues with that property itself. We knew the lot size, we knew what needed to be done inside. So after a lot of conversations in terms of figuring out if this is going to be a good property, and obviously questioning to make sure that, okay, I haven't seen it, you haven't seen it, are you still okay to purchase it? Because this is going to be the risk that there is. In terms of the actual property itself, we knew what we needed to do, so we actually minimized that risk as much as we could. We had actually ended up offering on the property, sight unseen. The investor did end up buying it and turned it into 2 units, and it's been rented ever since, and it's gone up substantially in value at the same time.
Wow.
So it did end up happening, but obviously have to make sure the investor is comfortable. And because knowing the area, literally went to high school just down the street, was very comfortable with that.
Okay, cool. I think before she switched to you as her investment coach, she was using some unknown, well, to me it's unknown real estate agents that are not so investor focused, doesn't know the area, and ended up buying some properties that she had to, essentially it's kind of like a money pit for her because she's trying to convert one of the units into a triplex, and you were helping her out, introducing her to the proper contractor team as well as managing some of the properties as well, right?
Yeah, so one of the contractors that they ended up using essentially kind of bailed on them and kept on delaying the construction and the renovation work, which cost quite a bit of money, and they ended up getting fired. A lot of the work didn't get done, and when I introduced some of my contractors that I knew that have helped out other investors already, the work got done fairly quickly, renovated, completed, duplex permitted, and then rented fairly quickly as well after.
And she has been a long-term client for Tim ever since. And I think last year you helped her sell a property that also has, for some reason, a stripper pole.
Oh yes, that one did have a stripper pole. Yes, when we helped her purchase that property, they went through the full renovations to duplex it, had it for several years. The tenants in there, and there was no stripper pole. When we did the pictures for showings, or right before we listed the property, again, apparently stripper pole just shows up every now and then for some of these things, and it was in the pictures. Luckily, it was removable. It wasn't one of those good sturdy stripper poles. It was one of the temporary ones, so got removed fairly easily as well. But yeah, they seem to be attracted to me for some reason.
Not just that, like I thought you also show up at the listing before it goes on online, and there was some weird smell.
Oh, yes, so there was, yes, before we actually listed, before the first investors, or not investors, agents came to show the property, there was a little bit of a weed smell inside, and ended up having to bake a lot of cookies, chocolate chip in particular, to cover some of that smell, and because that's the only way we could get kind of rid of it or mask it immediately. So cookies were placed all over the house, in the kitchen, in the living room, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I think several other places, just to kind of get that smell out. Helped a little bit. After a couple days we aired out the house, and it was pretty good after that, but it was just because of that first few set of showings that happened. It was an interesting time.
Well, things that you need to do to maximize the dollar you get for your own rental properties. Well, if you're interested in getting to know Tim more, how can everyone find you?
Best is to follow me on Instagram. Handle is @_Tim Hong _ or just search Tim Hong. You'll see my picture there.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your funny
Thank you.
stories with us. Just so you know, Tim Hong doesn't just work with properties that have tenant stripper poles in it. He actually works with a lot of clients. It just so happened we're sharing those stories. For everyone who's interested in learning more about wealth building, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Until next time, thank you for watching.